Incorrect. Bill Maher. Bill's guest tonight, comedian Drew Carey. Star Trek's Jeri Ryan. From the O'Reilly Factor, Bill O'Reilly. And from Duran Duran, John Taylor.
All right, hey, thank you. I know why you're happy today. It's that big lottery. Are you in that? Did you hear this? The big game lottery, they're drawing this is the biggest prize ever. $350 million. That's serious screw you money. No, the officials said today, they said this prize could not get any higher if it was sharing a limo ride with Whitney Houston. That's a high. Please. Now, a big turn in the love bug story, you know. Have you been hit by the I love you virus on the computer? They arrested a guy yesterday in the Philippines. That's where they think it started. They released him today, said didn't have enough evidence, but they still think it's a woman. I'm fascinated by that because I've always thought of computer geeks as guys, but they think it's but they still think this is a woman because there's a new virus called the I love you, but not in that way virus. Now, big news on the Republican side. I guess you saw it on the news. John McCain has now officially endorsed George W. Bush for president. And when I say officially, I mean that, boy, was that apparently a bitter pill for McCain to swallow. It was, did not seem to do it with a great enthusiasm, although he said his quote was, I look forward to enthusiastically campaigning for George Bush. The translation, I will stop calling him a jackass at cocktail parties. Finally, you know, we've been fighting a drug war for about 500 years. Apparently, still not working. The big story in USA Today is that there is a resurgence in heroin. Guess among who? Teenage girls. Isn't that terrible? Teenage girls, suburban teenage girls who hang out at the mall, are using heroin. Not a good thing. And also bad for the boys. I mean, can you imagine how demoralizing it is as a young boy to get up the courage to ask a young girl out and have her say, not tonight, I'm washing my syringe. Okay. We have a wonderful show. Let us meet our panel. He is a founding member of Duran Duran. You can buy his new solo CD, John Taylor, on his website at johntayloronline.com. It's great. I saw him at the Viper Room. John Taylor, right over here, John. Hey, how are you?
Good to see you.
He is the host of the O'Reilly Factor, his very own show on the Fox Network, 8 o'clock at night. Mr. Bill O'Reilly right over here. Bill, how are you? She is the very lovely 7 of 9 on Star Trek Voyager, Wednesdays at 9 on another channel. Jeri Ryan right over here. Hello. How are you? And the very funny star of the Drew Carey Show, Wednesdays at 9 right here on ABC, and Drew Carey's Hi-Fi Club on the United Stations Radio Network, and that other show, whose line is anyway, he's the Drew of all media, Drew Carey, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And actually, you know, you're looking very svelte, which... You are.
Thanks.
Are you doing something, or?
I'm actually the heaviest now I've ever weighed. It's probably just a shirt or something.
Really? Okay. Okay.
Last time you saw me, I was naked. Maybe that's why.
in the grotto at the Playboy Mansion,
right.
where we will be filming next week. We'll be going to the Playboy Mansion. Okay. The reason I bring this up is because this is actually very big news, and you may have heard it today. San Francisco has passed an ordinance. In other words, it is a law now that you cannot discriminate against the obese, which is, I think, an amazing...
Yeah, it's about time. I'll say. Speaking for the plain-looking people on this side of the table.
Well, except that this will create a new class of plaintiffs, is the problem, is that when you go to fire somebody, you can't just say, you know what, you're a jerk. Because if you fire them, they'll say, well, you fired me because I'm a fat jerk.
Yeah. That's right.
As if this isn't a litigious enough society already.
Exactly. And I think it's wrong.
You know what's going to lead to big trouble is fat strippers.
You know...
And who wants that?
That, my friend, will be the fall of
That's the fall of Rome right there.
But you and I both know there are already fast food.
Yeah. I'm supporting single mothers all over me.
No, but, I mean, somebody could go for a job at Hooters, and the person would have to hire them, or else it would be discrimination. And
right.
I just think that, you know, this country has gone down this path of total communism now, where, no, I mean it.
I agree.
But certainly San Francisco has. See, that San Francisco is not like the rest of the country, and that's what people have to understand. Here we have a city where the mayor wanted to give the bums in the street who beg credit card so they could run their credit cards. Good. Mayor Willie Brown said, we should give them credit card slips so that you can give them your credit card if you want to give money to them. We have a city councilman in...
That's true. Brilliant
Absolutely
idea.
true. Take it from me. And he was reelected, Mayor Brown, on that platform, giving the homeless credit card slips. We have a city council member who said, you know, the homeless should be allowed to drink on the street in public because you have a martini bill in your home, and that's their home, the street. Now, the logic is great, but that's San Francisco. It's the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, but it's not just San Francisco where there are what they call fat acceptance societies, and you know I have gotten a bad.
What they call them?
Yeah, they do. They call them.
Cow.
Well, there's a group. There's a group called Fat So. Get it? Fat So.
That's what.
And like this, the leader of this group, she's 5'4", 270.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, look, they're going to sue Carey in a minute. I just want to...
Come and get me.
Right.
So
Yeah,
they're
they're
going to be... If that's what you do.
I don't want to be named in this.
And she says, we don't need a diet. And that is the attitude. And you know what? Obesity is a huge health issue.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to go on a diet, that's fine. I agree with that. Except that everybody else in this country has to toe the line because somehow the argument got to be that we're all going to pay for your health bill. Smokers, it's okay to discriminate against them and insult them because it's making them quit. And drug users, it's okay to get on their case. But somehow eating is okay. Somehow Twinkies are wholesome goodness.
It's the American way. It's the American way. It's plenty, isn't it? It's you know, it's the size, the portions, that everything. It's okay to consume vast amounts of supersized right now. Supersizing is huge, especially with the inner cities, you know, and it's criminal actually that's the only kind of food that is made available to people in that economic
Right. We
strata.
actually have malnourished obese people because they eat a lot of food, but it's
wrong food.
It's all Doritos.
It's all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's nobody's business.
No, that's okay.
It's nobody's business. If they want to eat Twinkies,
I agree.
It's nobody's business. What do you, look, once you start with
it
this...
becomes your business if you've got a health system, if you're trying to provide for those people and you're concerned for their welfare.
Who's trying to provide for them, though? If they get sick, they have to pay their own bills, or the government pays them, but the government pays for other people, too. Do you realize that there are heroin addicts getting welfare checks every month? I mean, if you're going to start to regulate conduct, you have to separate the legal eating from the illegal drug taking. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to say to Ally McBeal, hey, put on weight, boy? You know, we can't start that. We can't. If it's legal, you can do it.
Yeah, but the question is, why are some harmful endeavors illegal and some not? It's not that the government says you can't do drugs. It says just do the drugs that are on our list.
I'll tell you, you can have my cheeseburger when you can pry it from my cold, dead fingers. I'm not giving it.
I think you have... It wouldn't be easy. I think it's because the government rules that conduct detrimental to other people is wrong and shouldn't be done. So you're not going to run over. You're not going to run over 5 little kids after a Twinkie. But if you down a quart of
If you take too many of them, it's
so you're basing this on what people might do.
Right.
That's not in our Constitution.
Well, it is now with all the people. If the political people in San Francisco had their way, it would be what people might do. That's how they think about everything.
It's not
they don't
verbatim,
go by
but
actual behavior. They go, oh, what if this poor fat person might get discriminated against?
But isn't there a difference between intoxication and eating bonbons?
Not if you're a woman in love.
Yeah.
No, I have to take a commercial. We'll be right back. week was the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which I think I did that dinner a few years ago. I got in a lot of trouble for it. It's a very hard dinner to perform at because it's a bunch of politicians who are thin-skinned, and naturally enough, they have made a big stink about what President Clinton did this year. Now, it's traditional for the president himself to make some humorous remarks. He one-upped that this year, and he made a video, which show a little bit of this video, because this has been, some of this, it's, you know, the idea behind the video was that he's a lame duck and he's got nothing to do in the White House, so he's just hanging around the White House. And, you know, it was very funny. He got a standing ovation at the White House Correspondents' Center. Naturally enough, the hard-ass Republicans are saying, you know, how dare he waste the people's time and money when he should be doing nothing but, of course, apologizing because he likes sex. And they will never get over that. And, you know, why can't they just let this guy do what he does best, which is, of course, run the world?
I got to tell you, I'm not even a fan of his, and I thought the video was fun. I thought it was funny.
It's very funny.
Yeah, and I thought it was, you know, the Correspondents' Dinner especially. It's not like he just out of nowhere came up with. If he just came up with it out of nowhere and said, "Hey, I made this video in my spare time," then you go, well,
yeah. You know. Then you'd have to wonder.
But you know, it was for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where they're supposed to be funny. He did a great job, and because you know, he did a great job because he's a sociopath. He doesn't know right from wrong. So.
Why? Tell me why he doesn't know right from wrong? Because he likes sex?
He's a sociopath. No, not the sex part. It's all the lying and everything else he does about everything else. I just hate him.
The lying. He's the first president to lie.
I hate. No, he's not. I hate them all. I'm just saying. We're talking about him. We're talking about him specifically, but I hate all the presidents. And even I see nothing wrong that he made the video.
Now, this video was very funny, and I thought it was very entertaining. And it would be great on a sitcom, which I believe Bill Clinton will show up on right after he's in it. But what does the man do all day long? They said he couldn't get involved with Elian Gonzalez because he's too busy. Too busy making the video. So he had to crash into his house.
Right, Bill. It took 2 hours.
Yeah, quite.
You know, on a Saturday, instead of playing golf, he made the video.
Yeah, so what does he do all day?
What does he do all day?
Does anybody know?
He runs the world. He makes big decisions.
For a year, he had to fight off the people who were mad at him for liking sex. It took a year out of America's life for the separation of Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton's Tallywhacker. That was important.
Because it wasn't because he didn't like sex. We all like sex. He wasn't trustworthy enough to keep his marriage vows to his own wife.
Who cares?
And if you can't trust him, if he can't keep it in his pants just for his term of office.
But you could say that about Thomas Jefferson.
And they will say it about him.
And they have said it about Thomas Jefferson.
Right. You could say that about almost any president. FDR was having affairs. His wife was a lesbian.
Yeah.
Really? Excuse my...
I never heard
she was an actress.
I never heard of
Lyndon Johnson. I mean, if you...
It's part of his legend now, though, in a way. I mean, it's part of his legend. He's performing on key, you know, on cue. This kind of video, it's exactly what people expect from him. We shouldn't be surprised by anything he does. No. And take him for what he is. I like him, frankly. I loved his State of the Union address this year. It reminded me what I liked about him when he first came along. And then he does something like this, and he kind of shoots himself in the foot a little bit, you know, but...
What if it was true that he lured Paula Jones up to the hotel room and sexually assaulted her in a certain way? What if that were true? I don't know whether it was, but what if it were true?
Well, first of all, not even by her story. I want to say a bad word now, but I won't. I will. Not even by her... Because you know what? This is called push polling. It's a big trick among dirty campaigners. What if? People will call up during a campaign saying, what if you knew that John McCain was exposing himself to boys at Kmart? What if? Even by Paula Jones' story, he didn't sexually assault her.
He dropped her pants in front of her.
He dropped his pants.
His pants in front of her and said, hey,
right,
here you go. Now, some might think that's an assault.
Boy, what an offer.
She didn't call it an assault.
How could you turn that down? What's finesse?
No one is denying that he's a bad...
What?
Approacher.
A bad approacher.
And the reason why is because he is so busy working on your case, man. On our case, 24/7. That's why he's
working
eating
on our
pizza
case?
and talking. Yeah, that's why he was talking on the phone to Congressman when Monica was doing him. Because he's busy. Because it's true.
I want you to be my lawyer.
Because even at 3 in the morning, he's stroking Congressmen. Don't make the joke.
Bill, do you think there's any correlation between the rise of oral sex among 12 and 13-year-olds and Monica Lewinsky, President?
No.
No?
No.
Why wouldn't there be?
Because that's your other stupid argument. What do we tell the children? Like when I was 6 years old, I was going, how much tail is Ike getting?
You didn't hear on the news every night about who the president was sleeping with.
Is there really
It
a rise?
is on the news every night.
Every night. But wait,
The better
Jerry, you
part of the
really
year.
think that kids care about the president and his sex life?
I'm not necessarily thinking that they care
Yes,
about
they
it, but
do.
they're hearing about it. If the news happens, I mean, I have a son. I have a 5-year-old.
When I was 12,
and
I
I
loved
try
talking
and
about
shield
sex.
him from the news at all times.
And you
Just so he
think
doesn't
he
hear
was
any of it
you
anyway.
think he was affected by the Clinton scandal?
No, I'm not saying that I think he was, but I'm saying that I think the possibility exists. It was a different. We can't use the example of when we were kids. We didn't think about what the president was doing because it wasn't an option. It wasn't what was talked about.
Last thing I wanted to think of
And
was
the
Nixon having
president's life
sex.
is so public now.
Right. Nixon had sex 3 times in his life in a blue suit, and look what president he was. I mean, he's the one who had to resign in disgrace.
Got us out of now, buddy. I'm sorry.
We gotta take a commercial.
Join us tomorrow when our guest will be actor William Baldwin, from the Uglies John Henson, Senator Joe Lieberman, and author Barbara Olson.
Well, what with all the talk about the I Love You bug this week in computers, I got to reading about it, and you know, there's a big issue going on with this thing called Napster. Do you know what this is? Napster, if you're a thief, you know. It's basically a piece of software that allows, it's mostly college students who do this, to download any music off the internet. And you can almost get any record. And when I was a kid, we taped it off the radio, but you got the disc jockey talking over it. It was kind of crappy, and the sound quality was crappy. But this is pretty much excellent quality, the same as you'd get in the store, and it's taking money out of the pockets of record executives who need it for drugs. And I'm no fan of record executives, but I mean, isn't larceny larceny? Isn't this basically?
So what is the difference fundamentally between taping it off the radio in the 60s and 70s like we did and getting the music from a site like that today? I mean, it's just we've made a technological advancement, and that's it. But like when we were kids, we were perfectly happy with the quality of the recording we made off the radio. I mean, personally, I'm kind of sick of these multi-millionaire rock stars.
But you stand to lose. This stands to...
But not in the bigger scheme of things. You know, in the fact that people are communicating, they're exchanging the music, they're talking about the music enthusiastically. I don't think it's ever going to mean that people are going to stop buying the music when they can afford it or when they
know who will
like
buy it is old people like us who can't figure out Napster. That's who...
And it's kind of tricky. I've tried.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to ask you a question because you're a recording artist. But first of all, remember the cool disc jockeys would say, okay, start your tape recorder now.
Right.
Yeah.
But do you think that maybe it's a way that people just sample it and they get an idea, then they get excited about it, then they go buy the CD, so you're not that worried about it?
To an extent, yeah. And you want the cover, you want the lyrics, you want the whole package. Yeah.
Well, you want to buy the White Album, and you want to get...
It's not exactly like it was with an album. When
Exactly.
all the
Roll a joint.
inserts and
Exactly.
you have-
Try to roll a
framing
joint
CD
on a
covers.
CD.
You can't because the seeds fall through the crack when you put the jewels on.
But there's some...
I'm just saying.
And you know that because...
I saw it on
Yeah.
Dawson's Creek.
Me too.
But the music
Exactly. We
industry...
saw it on Dawson's Creek.
The music industry is generating millions more than it's ever done in its history.
What good industry isn't? That's no argument to say, well, you could steal from us. I mean, you could make that argument about Microsoft and break them up. Oh, I guess they're doing that.
Yeah. People pirate software all the time. The first copy of Microsoft Word I ever had was a copy that my brother gave me that was illegal, but I liked it and I learned how to use it, and every time I bought tons of copies of Microsoft Word after that.
You can't really stop.
And now you're richer than
I
Bill Gates.
still think people should pay for that. Artists should get paid. I mean, I'm not. If you're going to copy, you shouldn't just copy and try to not pay them. You should at least buy the CD.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to get paid unless I take it to Here's John Taylor's new record. Please buy it because you know the man doesn't know enough to protect himself, and he's going to be out of hair dye if you don't. Okay. Tomorrow, Lynn Redgrave, Al Frank, and Randy Tate.